Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you. So, coming at you with our theme Chronicle deck, which is of course going to end up being Gold Pride. Since Gold Pride is fully legal for the event, every card in the archetype is legal. The same cannot necessarily be said for the Punk archetype, but as I've experienced playing these Theme Chronicle games, and as you'll see in some of the games that I have picked out for us to watch, this deck definitely excels even without the Punk engine. And it's not even just within the event as well. I've actually seen at least one Punk list. I think it was combined with an archetype, or not Punk, at least one Gold Pride list that was combined with an archetype that wasn't Punk. I'm trying to remember what it is, but regardless, the Gold Pride archetype has definitely seen tournament success beyond being used with the Punks, again, even outside of the event. But within the event, this deck is amazing. I dare say this is probably one of the best decks you could be playing for this event. So, as I mentioned before, when it comes to the event here in particular, if we take a look at the Punk cards that are legal, there's not a whole lot. There is pretty much just the, funnily enough, Kusai is, but none of the Punk fusions or synchros are, so that's useless. Wagon, Madam Spider, as well as a few of the spell and trap cards, not even the field spell, but even Madam Spider and Dangerous Gabu is enough for me to want to include them in the deck. So we do have those two cards here, along with, of course, the E-Tellies. For other E-Telly targets, we're rocking a set of Psychic Trackers and a couple of Psychic Wielders. Funnily enough, we have actually used exclusively Madam Spider and Dangerous Gabu and no other Punk cards in a deck before outside of an event, and that was Gate Guardian. Gate Guardian, funnily enough, also a great deck for this event. I almost brought Gate Guardian, but I just remember back to that Gate Guardian profile where, again, these were literally the only two Punk cards we had, and I still got a comment on YouTube that was like, sigh, yet another Punk pile, and it's like, come on, dude, really? Like, two cards do not make a pile. But anyway, yeah, no, I think this deck is phenomenal for this event, and it really makes me respect what Gold Pride is able to do, again, even outside of this event and with the Punk engine there. In fact, now that I have also hit Master, I am definitely going to be experimenting a lot more with Gold Pride Punk, as well as possibly some other variants in the future. One suggestion I had for the Gold Pride Punk list from a lot of commenters, and I think people on the Discord were talking about this too. Number 75, Bamboozling Gossip Shadow. This card is actually phenomenal. It's kind of an Omni-Negate. It basically negates any monster effect by changing the effect to both players draw one card. So this can be a very, very strong piece for your end board, or not even necessarily your end board, but before you get your combos going. If, for example, you open something like Speedroid Terrortop plus, just some amount of Gold Pride plays, some combination of E-Telly that came out of nowhere, your Gold Pride monsters, the Psychic monsters, all that fun stuff. If you already have plays, but you still open to Terrortop, what you can do is you can start your turn by specialing Terrortop, adding and then specialing Taketamborg, and then we're going to make number 75 Bamboozling Gossip Shadow before you go into your plays. And basically what that will do is it'll insulate all your plays from basically any hand trap. Not Imperm, of course, because it only negates monster effects, but Maxx, Ash Blossom, Nibiru, Veiler, Droll, all that fun stuff, you can go ahead and just end up changing its effect to both players draw a card, which is actually also not bad at all, because, yeah, your opponent gets to draw a card, but they're still net neutral in cards, they don't gain any advantage, but you could potentially find more gas or additional disruption with that draw there. So definitely not a bad effect at all. Again, not just for the event version of this deck, but for Gold Pride Punk, I'm definitely going to be including Bamboozling Gossip Shadow in the future when I make those builds. So thank you all for that excellent suggestion there. Love to see it there. For this event, for the extra deck, we don't have Zeus, so we're not on that. We also don't have a lot of the more strong generic synchro options, but we still have a good couple of generic 8s in Draco Berserker of the Tenyi and Adamancipator Risen Dragite. Also wanted to include a level 9 synchro. In this case, it's going to be Navy Dragon Mech. I do think that Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier is probably better, but it's a UR and I don't own it, so I'm turning to Navy Dragon Mech, which is a level 9 synchro monster, 2700 attack, 1800 defense machine. Generic requirements, 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuners. If this card is special summoned, you can target face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of tuners in your graveyard. They get their effects until the end of the turn. If this equals summoned card is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you target a tuner in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So, not a bad option. Again, just like having the ability to go into a 9. Also, Brionax, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, also a UR, but also a card I would consider including if you owned it, to have a level 6 Synchro option that's not Star Leon, but I didn't really find myself needing it, out of the level 6, that is. At the same time, like, second Pinballer is definitely not needed, I never went into it. Cicada King, I never really went into, but I think it's a good generic rank 3. For the links, I never did end up going into IP, Knightmare Unicorn, or Avramax, but the option is there. We are going to be playing the Nitro Blaster, and Dawn is just a good generic link monster for the deck as well. Wanted to make sure I had a playset of Triple Tactics Talent. The reason that I'm rocking 3 is because Avramax, especially if made with IP, can be a little tricky to deal with, especially in this event. Not necessarily every deck that people are building for the event can out the Avramax. So I do think it is important to have an Avramax out in your deck. And again, in our case, it's actually going to be Triple Tactics Talent, because this card does not target, so we can use it to take control of an enemy Avramax. But also, to be fair, I have yet to run into an Avramax, and I'm already, I think, a little bit more than halfway through the event at this point. I think I have like 10,000 event points, and you need 16,000 for the Night Chaser. Is that what that card's called? The second icon, basically. So, otherwise, a pretty standard list here, including all the hand traps and stuff. I've actually seen a number of people complaining that hand traps are allowed in this event, and of course, you know, I would also like an event or just games in general without Maxx. Definitely, I won't deny that, but as far as like hand traps in general being allowed, that's a good thing. You should want that for your events. I say this all the time when talking about events, but I always think back to, there was a theme chronicle, but it was Legend Anthology. That's the one where it's anime decks, right? I think back to that first one where there was no hand traps. I think neither of them had hand traps, and it's just miserable. It's so miserable, right? Like, people complain about Master Duel being a coin flip simulator, and I think that's so, like, completely untrue. I think people who are saying that, like, regular ranked mode is just a coin flip sim are purposefully misconstruing what the experience is like to either justify the complaint in their own heads or just feel better about making the complaint for whatever reason, right? But when you eliminate all the hand traps besides 1 Imperm and 3 Veiler, then yes, then it becomes more of a coin flip simulator. Again, I just have less than fond memories of going up against DDD and Marensis and losing the coin flip, being like, oh boy, I'll just surrender because I can't do anything because I didn't open one of my 4, you know, single monster effect disrupts, which wouldn't even guarantee to be enough to stop their combo line. But yeah, I understand the appeal behind the idea of, yay, anime decks and no hand traps, but it doesn't work in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! It does not work. We need hand traps for this game to be playable. But in any case, let's go ahead and break down this list card by card, and then we'll see some of that gameplay there from the event. So we're on 3 Maxx, 3 Speedroid Terrortop, 1 Speedroid Taketamborg. We got 3 Ash Blossom and a Joyous Spring, 2 Psychic Wheeleder, 3 Psychic Tracker, 1 Joruri Punk Madam Spider, 3 Gold Pride Leon, 3 Gold Pride Captain Carrie, 2 Gold Pride Rollerballer, 1 Gold Pride Nitro Head, 3 Triple Tactics Talent, 2 Gold Pride Better Luck Next Time, 2 Emergency Teleport, 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, 2 Infinite Impermanence, 1 Joruri Punk Dangerous Gabu, and 2 Gold Pride Start Your Engines. That's going to be it for the main deck. For the extra deck, we are on 2 Gold Pride Pinballer, 1 Gold Pride Star Leon, 1 Draco Berserker of the Tenyi, 1 Adamancipator Risen Dragite, 1 Navy Dragon Mech, 1 number 75 Bamboozling Gossip Shadow, 1 number 3 Cicada King, 2 Gold Pride Chariot Carrie, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Donner Dagger for Hire, 1 Gold Pride Nitro Head, 1 Knightmare Unicorn, and then finally 1 Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avramax. That'll be it for our list. Let's go ahead and see these games. Okay, we're going to have a couple of these games are going to be from our stream of the event, and then a couple are from games outside of that. This first couple I believe are going to be from duels on a stream there. This one's going to be against like it's some way fair to call it Crawler, even though the deck is kind of centered around Crawler Soma. It's kind of an insect pile that's centered around a Crawler Soma. So Here, this turn one might not look super impressive, but the Chariot Carrie, getting to search to start your engines fall into a set 4, definitely not too shabby. Also, start your engines, by the way, is not once per turn at all. So we definitely do not mind opening multiple copies. In fact, I dare say we even like opening multiple copies. And I'm definitely looking to include a second copy in future Gold Pride Punk lists as well. So, main phase 1, we're going to start off with Resonant Insects, followed by the Crawler Soma. Somebody by turning the Resonance Insect face down. Going to use Start Your Engines to pop the Soma, revealing, I'm going to do one of each, the Star Leon, the Rollerballer, and the Nytro head. Thinking back, I probably should have revealed 2 Rollerballer, 1 Leon, because both Leon and Rollerballer can go into Disruption, but the Nytro head only summons the token during the standby phase, so it doesn't really offer any disruption when summoned off of Start Your Engines. Leon, though, well, also our life points need to be lower, to be fair, so we can't really activate any of those effects anyway, now that I think about it. But taking care of that Crawler Soma there is just enough to end our opponent's turn, thankfully. So, got another Captain Carrie. I'm going to summon it and then overlay the 2 on my field into the Chariot Carrie. We're going to use Chariot Carrie's effect to detach and then add Better Luck Next Time. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think Better Luck Next Time should be called Start Your Engine, because it actually starts up the deck's engine. I guess it makes sense that the trap card is 2 because it summons a monster out of the deck, but still, I don't know. I know, a little very, very minor nitpick from me, but it's all good. Okay, so yep, like I said, no Zeus in this format, so we're not Chariot carrying into the Zeus. We do get to draw a card, however, off the Better Luck Next Time, which is good. And of course, putting the Captain Carrie on board will give us another monster to sync with. I'm going to imperm this Girisu as soon as it comes down. And let's see here. I think they end up having another Crawler. Yes, Soma. Here it is. But I mean, not only do I still have, another Start Your Engine, which I'm going to activate here, but on top of that, we still have Leon and Rollerballer, and I can actually do both now. But my opponent's just going to go ahead and concede before we have a chance to do either. There are a lot of times when playing a more pure Gold Pride deck that your games will play out like this. Gold Pride might be a kind of combo-y deck, but it's not one of those, like, explosive, it doesn't even really OTK that much, this deck. It's not an explosive combo deck. It's more about, like, controlling through the opponent via repeated disruption, utilizing the Gold Pride extra deck monsters that tag back into the main deck monsters, which can tag into the extra deck monsters on the opponent's turn, which can then further disrupt on the opponent's turn. So, very, very unique and fun style of play there from the Gold Pride deck. Got a couple more games to check out, a few actually. Let's go ahead and see the next one. Got Vendread as our next opponent. Another pretty good theme Chronicle deck. Zombies in general, definitely not too shabby at all. Not at all. We're going to be taking the second turn here. Opening Ash Blossom and a fair bit of gas. Let's see what the opponent ends up doing here. Starting with the normal summon Unizombie, activating the effect. I'm definitely going to want to Ash Blossom that. I do not want them to start sending zombies from deck to the graveyard, but they're going to have the call by here, so that's what they're going to be doing anyway. Again, zombies, even beyond Vendread, a lot of the structure deck stuff is still legal for the tournament. Zombies tend to be a pretty safe event deck in general, so. Alright, Scar of the Vendread is activating. That'll add the Vendread or Re-Vendread origin, rather, from deck to hand, which will now end up banishing that Scar out of the graveyard in order to ritual summon the, where is it here? Here we go, Vendread Slayer. I know this deck is like insane in an R format, but I don't really know much about it beyond that. I haven't even, not that I've played in R format a lot, but Shiranui Sun Saga coming down. They get to add a wait, what was that card called? Ravenous Vendread, there it is. Ravenous Vendread summoning the Scar of the Vendread face down, and then ritual summoning out the Slayer out of the graveyard once again. Okay. Yeah, I know the Slayer has an effect to deal with battle, right? And I think the Sun Saga is mostly the same. Yeah, so, looking at these monsters, none of them seem to pose much of a threat, maybe outside of the battle phase. Opponents going to Ash Blossom the Terrortop. I think that's never correct. Terrortop, I think, is one of those cards where it's never correct to Imperm Rash it. Here, because, my opponent forgot about the call by on my Ash to use on their turn. But aside from that, even, it's like, Terrortop is never going to be the only thing somebody does on their turn. If they're special summoning Terrortop, they're going to have follow-up plays. And I struggle to really think of a deck that would want to Terrortop and then not have a better Ash later. Like, in fact, a lot of the time, they're just going to Terrortop for the Chariot Beanie. We don't hear, but we still Terrortop for, you know, the Chariot Carrie, which you can Ash Blossom. So, don't use Ash and Imperm on Terrortop. I think it's generally a pretty bad idea. Alright, here we're going to go into the Roller Baller as well as... Oh, hey, I did summon the Cicada King. Oh, that's right, I summoned a Cicada King here because it could deal damage and then on the opponent's turn, not only disrupt, but also turn itself into defense mode to protect itself there. So, this was an instance where summoning Cicada King ended up being pretty good, so definitely not too shabby. And we also have a Start Your Engines, we have the Ash Blossom and the Roller Baller, as well as the draw off of the Better Luck Next Time. Yeah, that Roller Baller is insane. The Pinballer is so good. Love that card. Yeah, as soon as this Unizombie comes down, I'm definitely just going to go ahead and fire off to Start Your Engines and just get it off the board. We'll just deal with it. Get to bring back an extra Roller Baller, and at this point I can just turn everything I have into attack mode and end the duel, which I think is just what I end up doing. Yeah. Yep, here's Battle Phase. No need to sync or fuse or anything. We'll just smack them with our drivers. And end the duel that way. Still got a couple more games to see. This next one's going to be a long one. So let's go ahead and buckle down and see how that one plays out. Yeah, this next game against Orchest, I just warned you it was going to be a long one. 14 turns. 1-4. 14 turns. Let's see how this one ends up shaking out here. We're going to be making the second move. And, you know, pretty solid hand. Ash Blossom, Terrortop, E-Tele, Carrie. Can't really ask for too much more beyond that. Especially when your opponent passes without even playing a card at all on turn 1. I totally forgot about that, but... Yeah, E-Tele during the draw phase here was a huge misplay. I just fired it off, but after drawing Triple Tactics talent, there's zero reason not to wait for the main phase, so... Going to Madam Spider for the Dangerous Gabu that will lower our life points and allow me to special summon the Captain Carrie. Oh, the other reason it was a misplay is because I didn't get to special summon Terrortop, but... To be fair, this deck kind of ends up like almost never using its normal summon anyway, so it's probably fine. Well, it would be if I... See, that's the thing too, actually. If I had waited on that E-Tele, I could have Terrortopped into that Gossip Shadow play like I was talking about. But instead, I end up playing into a Nibiru, so this game is definitely a case of do as I say, not as I do. I mean, the alternative here isn't terrible. Like, yeah, we have to go into IEP, but... We still remove the Nibiru, do some damage with it, and yeah, I mean, IP set 3 is not terrible until we get even lead. I'm going to keep one to Start Your Engines, but the opponent's not even going to end up summoning anything here, so... Yeah, it's going to be a couple turns of draw pass from what I remember here, which, like, I wonder what could possibly be in my opponent's hand. What do they have where they have 4 cards and they can't make a play, right? Like... You know, with me, I just have Roller Baller and Disruption, but... Yeah, what is going on? I wonder what could possibly be going on over there, but... It's still nothing for me here! Yet another turn of draw pass, like... Yeah, this is going to be the lengthiest duel, but I guess not necessarily the most engaging one, as, opponent really struggling to find anything. Okay, here I have a Leon, so I'm like, okay, this is something, right? But yeah, I greatly expected my opponent to end up having some kind of disruption here. Turns out to be Valor, but if your opponent's not making plays for an extended amount of time, you got to be ready for that disruption. Gonna use another triple attack. Opponent Max Seed here, which I guess I kind of understand. They're maybe afraid of me ripping it with triple attack, but I mean, I wasn't gonna make any other plays here anyway, so I won't even Ash it. This is fine. And sure enough, if we look at their hand, it is all disruption. It's Ash Blossom, Nib, and Orchest Knightmare. That's 3 Nibiru, by the way. That's super overkill. Yeah, I don't think there's any best of 1 deck where really I can think of off the top of my head that wants to be main decking 3 Nibiru, especially not Orchest, but whatever. So yeah, I'm going to end up putting back the Ash Blossom, as I can definitely play around these Nibirus, and I'm not too worried about the Orchest Knightmare there. Alright, let's see what they top deck. Let's see if it's anything relevant. Nope. Not even a little bit. They just drew and passed again. I'm going to normal summon another Leon. Try to bring back this Captain Carrie. They've got a called by for it. That's fine. I don't really care about that. And I know they have, yeah, 2 Nibiru, an Orchest Knightmare, and an Unknown. So again, as long as we manage our summons correctly, we should just win the duel right here, right? Leon was 1, Captain Carrie is 2. They did top another Ash Blossom, which is a little bit annoying. Actually, more than a little annoying, but... oh well. What can you do besides enter battle phase, smack them, and then pass, right? Not a lot, honestly. We do have that start your engines as well as the Ash Blossoms, so we still know 2 Nibiru, 1 Orchest Knightmare. Forbidden Droplet is going to send to that Orchest Knightmare, which will finally allow it to activate its effect. But we have an Ash Blossom. So, does not end up mattering, even in the slightest here. Yep, Orchest Knightmare negated. Turn passes back over to us. And at this point, I can just tribute summon the Roller Baller and roll them up for lethal. And that's exactly what we're doing here. Boom! There we go. So yeah, I mean, like, I really do think my opponent just ended up having far too much disruption in their deck. Especially, like... and again, this is something I do plan on talking about in an upcoming video about how to deck build for best of 1, but that is a prime example of what happens if you put in too much disruption and or board breakers. You just don't open any engine, and Orchest is definitely a deck that wants to open a good amount of engine. Anyway, we got one more game to check out. Let's go into that here. And our final opponent is going to be on a Draco Slayer deck. It's funny how Theme Chronicle is supposed to be, like, use decks that are in solo mode, but... this time around, they were a lot more loose with the ban list, and it kind of just ended up being rogue decks, the event, which I don't have a huge problem with. I know I've said a lot in the past about how I don't like a lot of Master Duel events, and it's still true. But I do like this better than regular Theme Chronicle. I think just pick a solo mode deck and play it is really boring, frankly. So I'm glad that the card pool is expanded a little bit here. I've said it before, I'll say it again. NR and Limit 1, easily the 2 best events. And not just the 2 best, but I'm going to say it, those are the only 2 good events we've ever had. Every other event has been either mediocre or bad. This is on the upper end of mediocre, this event, but I do still think it's a mediocre. Basically, the way I gauge how good I think an event is my interest in playing in it, right? If I'm interested in playing, you know, beyond actually getting the rewards, if getting up to the rewards feels like a slog or not, if I just see the same strategies over and over again, like last time for Theme Chronicle, everyone just did Crusadia FTK or going second OTK, was really just dumb and annoying, frankly. I'll say it, it was just dumb and annoying. And I think the expanded card pool, plus the fact they banned literally like every kaiju, is definitely a sign that Konami feels us in that regard. They know we didn't. They know we were not a fan of last Theme Chronicle, so they definitely fixed it up a little bit. Which, you know, I am glad that they are willing to do that. I just wish they went back to NR Limit 1 or explored another event that actually challenged you to deck build in interesting ways. But a lot of the reason we have seen a lot of repeat events, but not of NR and Limit 1, is because, frankly, neither of those events compel players to actually spend gems and, in turn, money on the game, right? Like, NR is literally all about cheap decks, and Limit 1 doesn't really compel you to, like, buy any of the new packs inherently because, yeah, because you can just use a lot of what you have already, so... I don't know, there's a part of me when I saw that Gold Pride was fully legal that I was a little bit optimistic of, like, maybe Gold Pride will get a solo mode, maybe that's what this means, but I think really the real answer is that it's a lower enough power level deck that's also from the latest selection pack that, yeah, it can just be allowed to be in at full power, and it's fine. And, again, Konami wants that because if you're looking for a deck to play for the event, you know, there are some players who will just buy into, you know, Gold Pride to do that. Also, look at our opponent out here with, like, every different kind of monster. Well, they did for a second there. They had Pend, they had Xyz, they had Synchro, they had Fusion, they had Link. It was kind of cool. But, yeah. My opponent's end board is actually not going to end up being too scary here, all things considered. I mean, it is kind of still, but I'm confident in our ability to play through it. Yeah, Dingirsu is fine. I don't care about that. Going for Pit Knight Airly, and yep, this is going to be the end board. Ding, Airly, IP, and the Amphibious Swarm Ship. It's not bad. Definitely not bad. But, like I said, I'm not super concerned. Gonna normal summon Leon, Special Taketamborg. In response to this, opponent is going to link off IP and Airly for Knightmare Unicorn. I was actually more scared of Avramax here, to be frank, but we'll definitely take Knightmare Unicorn for sure. Putting back my Leon, that's fine. I can still special summon Wielder. The called by here is very, very important for taking out the Promethean Princess. Do not want this card to come back. The card is honestly very, very good. Okay, now we can sync the Wielder and the Taketamborg for the... Or sorry, we're overlaying, not syncing, for the Chariot Carrie. Carrie F will detach and end up adding Better Luck next time, which I'll slam down here to add the Rollerballer, and you're about to see why I'm not really scared of my opponent's board at all. We're just going to roll them up, baby. First, we're going to summon the Captain Carrie, make sure we get our Start Your Engines. But yeah, now all Rollerballers fuse for 3. This will allow the Pinballer to equip 3. This card is so good. This card is so good. Pinballer is a... Oh, God. I can't sing the card's praises enough. It's ridiculous. It's actually insane how good the card is. Equipping and then tagging out is such a good form of removal because although it does the like destroy animation when they go to the graveyard, oh wait, that does count as being destroyed. That's weird because I've definitely seen other card effects. Maybe my opponent just didn't proc them at that time. I thought that didn't count as being destroyed, but it did proc the Swarm Ship effect to destroy. So, interesting. What was the other card that I saw? Oh, Mekk-Knight. Oh, but it wasn't, but I understand. Because Mekk-Knight has to be destroyed by battle or card effect. And Swarm Ship only says destroyed. So, okay, so if you equip a monster with Rollerballer, it won't count as being destroyed by a card effect. Because technically it's being destroyed by a game mechanic, right? That being an equip card not having its monster on the field anymore. But... okay, but if a card says this card, when this card is destroyed and nothing else, that'll still count. Got it. Makes sense. Okay, I understand now. So, yeah, I'm going to use the Start Your Engines on this Beyond the Pendulum here, which will also get to activate the effect to add the Scroll Crobat Joker. But thankfully, we also get to Star Leon for the Captain Carrie. Captain Carrie also fetching us our second Start Your Engines. Opponent's going to place the Majesty Pegasus before performing a Pendulum Summon. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 monsters yet again. Wow, jeez. That's 2 Panda Summons for 5 in a row, by the way. 2 turns in a row, that is. Here they went to end the main phase, so I'm definitely going to go ahead and summon my Pinballer yet again. Pinballer, let's roll him up, baby. Opponent moves to battle, main phase 2, end, and then that's it. No, it's at the end of their turn, they ultimately end up conceding. So that was a game where it looked like, oh, they were on time limit. That's what it was. It was a time limit win. Makes sense with all the crazy stuff they were doing, but that was a game where it looked like we were on the back pedal the entire time. And to be fair, we were pretty much on the back pedal the entire time, but even if it looks like Gold Pride isn't doing anything impressive while the opponent is popping off, as you can see, all it takes is that Pinballer. We just gotta roll them up, baby. And then they are done for. So good, so good. But that is going to go ahead and do it for these event duels. Hope you all enjoyed them. I love playing Gold Pride. And like I said, playing this version of the deck in the event here has absolutely inspired me to keep tinkering with the deck for Ranked Ladder as well. So definitely look forward to some more Gold Pride action in the near future. But that'll do it for this video. Thank you all so very much for watching. Let us now move on to our outro. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. That means a lot to me. It's also a great way to support the channel, so thank you very much in that way as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways, like the very special patrons that I am thanking here, you can do so by checking out some of the links in the description. One of those goes to the Patreon, where you can join these fine folk and support the channel that way. I do post daily content over on Patreon, so you do get something for supporting there. And if you're interested, I also have a coaching tier option as well. Details again will be on Patreon in the link below. Also in the description linked below is my Twitch page where I stream a few times a week. You can go ahead and check that out, follow or subscribe over there if you ever want to catch me live. You'll also find my second YouTube channel if you feel like subscribing over there to watch some of the Twitch VODs as well as some additional non-Yu-Gi-Oh related content that I make over there. Again, any of those links you want to check out is all a great way of supporting. But again, even if you don't do that, just watching was also a fantastic way to support. And once again, I have to thank you so very much. But in any case, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, and I'm hoping you have a fantastic day.